It's me again, Melissa Grant, with my book, Why You Don't Go to Church Anymore. Today we are going to talk about things in the Bible that are simply weird. Let's start with the fact that Joseph was able to interpret dreams by use of a magic cup. Wow. This was in Genesis 44, verse 5. Now, by the way, Joseph was supposed to be one of the good guys, God's favorites, but Joseph had a bunch of brothers who didn't recognize him because they'd cast him out when he was young, and they came to him asking for food because they were starving. Joseph took this magic cup and he put it in his younger brother Benjamin's sack, and then he accused Benjamin of stealing it, which would require Benjamin to become his servant for the rest of his life. Nice guy. All right, here's another one. Moses was speaking to God, and he said, "Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips." That's in Exodus 6:30. Uncircumcised lips. Is this a new requirement for the Jews? I've never heard of it. All right, King David, he paid for the right to marry Michal, or Michelle. I don't know how you say the name. It's Michal. Now, this woman was already married. Her husband walked behind her to the wedding, weeping the whole way. David paid him for this right. What did he pay him with? 200 Philistine foreskins. That's 1 Samuel 18:25-27. All right, here's one. God hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not release the Israelites from bondage. You remember, they were kept captive. Then he sent 10 plagues to the earth with the idea that those would convince Pharaoh to let God's people go. Now, how that would work is a complete mystery, since God himself was the one who wouldn't let Pharaoh change his mind. Remember, he hardened his heart. Well, God admitted he was responsible for those plagues, and that he did it so that the Israelites would have stories to tell their grandchildren. Exodus 12:25-57. It's a long story. Another. God has Jezebel thrown off a wall. Her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on some horses. And so they went to bury her, but according to 2 Kings 9:35, all they found of her was her skull and feet and the palms of her hands. How can you leave behind only your palms? Aren't they rather permanently attached to the other side of the hand? Here's a quote. 2 Kings 18:27. Hath he not sent me to the men which sit on the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? Oh, party guy. An angel of the Lord killed 185,000 men while they slept. 2 Kings 19:35 says, "And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses." Okay, when they arose in the morning, behold, they were dead. They woke up dead. They died, they woke up and said, "Look, we're dead." Too bizarre. God made Uzziah a leper because he burned incense without a license. That's 2 Chronicles 26:16-21. That's in the New Testament. It's not just the old fiery God. Okay, there was a king named Joachim. He was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for just 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, it says in 2 Chronicles 36:9. Now God took him out of his job, took him out an 8-year-old boy because he did evil things. What could it have been? Some awfully evil things lasted far more than his 100 days. Oh, and God will not only test your heart, he'll test your kidneys. Psalm 7:9. Biblical kidneys must be different than ours because these kidneys give you advice at night. Another Psalm 63. Thou hast made us drink the wine of astonishment. Now, is that a red or a white? The psalmist prays that his enemies be tormented and blinded by God. Normal enough there. But he also asks God to make his enemies' loins continually shake. That's at Psalm 69, 23-28. Excuse me? What would it mean that their loins would continually shake? Here's a quote from Isaiah. He shall mute the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. Isaiah 11:4. What's up with having a rod in your mouth and you can smite the earth with it? And God breathes on people to kill them? They die from literally bad breath. You can get all the mold out of your house, by the way, it's a good tip from the Bible, by sprinkling the blood of sacrificed birds on the walls. Leviticus 14:33-53. Now, there were some apparently miraculous soldiers running around in those days. Samson, he killed 8,000 men in a single day using the jawbone of a donkey. That's at Jude 15:15. Solomon sacrificed 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep in 1 week. That comes to 850 sacrifices per hour for a 7-day straight period. 1 Kings 8:63. It also says that the Israelites killed 100,000 Syrians in a single day. And then a wall fell over, and it killed some people when it fell on them. How many? 27,000. 1 Kings 20:29-30. It must have been one gigantic wall. And why were there 27,000 people apparently lined up against it so that when it fell, it killed them? 2 Chronicles 13:7 says that 500,000 Israelites died in a single battle against Judah. Now, that's 10 times more people than died in a single battle of all recorded history. The worst battles in the world were Gettysburg, with 50,000 dead from both sides, and here we're just counting one side, and the first day of the Somme offensive in World War I, when 60,000 British soldiers were killed. 500,000 dead people is twice as many people as died from the atomic bombs on both Nagasaki and Hiroshima. 250,000 were killed in that. Now, the Israelites didn't have guns, or bombs, or grenades, or machine guns. How could they have killed 500,000 people in a single battle? Oh, and here's one that'll affect some of you. The Bible says that only wimps are vegetarian. For one believeth that he may eat all things, another who is weak eats herbs. That's Romans 13:9. In 1 Timothy 4:1-4, it says, in the latter times some people shall depart from the faith, give up their faith, by becoming vegetarian. Paul writes to the believers of Corinth that he knew a guy, but he can't remember whether he knew the man in his body or out of his body. It says the man went up to the third heaven, there are 3 heavens. Why isn't this mentioned by any other biblical writer? And when the man was taken up, he heard unspeakable words which it is not lawful for a man to utter. That's at 2 Corinthians 12, 2 through 4. What unspeakable words are unlawful to utter? So this guy was going on his way up to the 3rd heaven and he heard curse words or something? Now, Paul, he traveled from church to church spreading the news. He didn't get around to seeing the people of the church at Thessalonica as quickly as he was supposed to. He gives the devil made me do it excuse. He says, we would have come unto you, even I, Paul, once and again, but Satan hindered us. 1 Thessalonians 2:18. Oh, another physical education lesson. Don't exercise. Don't drink water. Instead, drink only wine. 1 Timothy 4:8 and 5:23. Another Paul story, when he returns a slave to a person named Philemon, Paul weirdly writes, whom I have sent again. Thou therefore receive him, that is mine own bowels. Bowels come up a second time. Paul thanks Philemon for talking about his faith publicly. The bowels of the saints are refreshed by thee, brother. I didn't really think about the saints having bowels and getting refreshed. That's Philemon 1:7. Here's the 3rd time. Paul says, yea, brother, let me have joy of thee in the Lord. Refresh my bowels in the Lord. And this book is the only one in the Bible in which bowels get refreshed. Melchizedek, he was an interesting character because it is said in the Bible that he had no father and no mother. He was never born. He just appeared ready-made by God. He also never died, so Melchizedek is somewhere around still. That's Hebrews 7:3. 2 Peter 2:22, those who've lost their faith, like us, I guess, are like dogs who eat their own vomit. Not quite a comparison. Now, God was trying to beat Jacob in a wrestling match. God came down and dislocated Jacob's leg because he couldn't beat him any other way. It says that Jacob and God wrestled overnight till the break of day. And the quote is, and when he, God, saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint. Poor Jacob. Genesis 30:37-39. Finally, you get to the book of Revelation. I don't know how much you know about that, but it's the book that talks about what are coming in the end times. All the scary movies you've ever seen about demons and hell and people being taken up into the heavens like by a blink of an eye. That's all Revelations. It contains more weird mental pictures, descriptions, events, creatures, and verses than could possibly be included here. Let's start with the first verse, though. It says that the book of Revelation was revealed to Jesus by God and then delivered to the writer John by an angel. Here are 10 examples from Revelation. First, it says Satan lives on earth in the town of Pergamos. That's Revelation 2:12-13. It says that at the end of the world, locusts will come. Not the locusts you and I might be familiar with, though. These locusts look like horses, and they have human heads, women's long hair, lions' teeth, and scorpions' tails. It says they will sting people for precisely 5 months. That's 9, 7 to 10. Number 3. I may not have mentioned it before, but dragons are mentioned in the Bible several times. And apparently you can't get away from them even in heaven. Here's a quote. There was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against a dragon. That's 12:7. And while we're on the subject, what's this about a war in heaven? Isn't that supposed to be the ultimate happy place? Number 4 is Jesus and his friends let the angels slaughter people with sickles. 14:14-20. 5, the great harlot is filled with abominations and filthiness of fornication. Her flesh will be eaten by kings. 7:1-16. 6, Jesus' clothes are dipped in blood. He wears them while he treads the winepress of the wrath of God. All that time he has a sharp sword coming out of his mouth to be used when he smites the nation. That's 19:15. 7, 4 angels leading an army of 200 million kill off a third of the humans on the planet. 9:15-19. Murderous angels. That's new to me. 200 million of them, and they only managed to get a third of the people on the planet. 8, blood from God's winepress will run so high that it'll reach up to the horses' bridles. That's 14:19-20. 9, an angel gives a dinner called the Supper of the Great God. He invites all the birds to come and eat the human corpses that are laying all around. That's 19:17-18. And last, only 144,000 celibate male Jews will make it into heaven. Whoever isn't listed in something called the Book of Life will be cast into the lake of fire. That's put together from chapter 7, verse 4, 14:3-4, 20:15, and 21:8. Now I'm going to show you slowly the Bible verses that we discussed today so that you will be able to write them down or look them up, whatever you'd like to do. So, here's the list. All right, done for the day. Now keep following me on Twitter, or on, YouTube, please. The more followers I can get on YouTube, the more likely I'm going to be to find an agent for the book. And I know you don't want to read it, so you better let me get it published. Thanks a lot. Bye.